Tonight, after Midnight's Edge After Dark, tune in to Comics Division for the first annual J-Law Awards. Celebrities, music, explosions, and more. Tune in. Whoops, I accidentally muted when I meant to unmute. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, where you are. Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. Do not try to adjust your clocks. No, your clocks are not running late. We are actually on time. But that is because we have a very special guest with us tonight who has a limited time. So I want to welcome to the program WDW Pro. How are you doing, my friend?
Fantastic and happy to be here. How's everybody else on the panel today?
Hopefully doing well. We'll ask them. CC Karaoke, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right, continuing to play Hogwarts Legacy and quite enjoying it.
Are you guys getting the snow up there that we are down here?
No, it's. I haven't seen the sun in months, and it won't snow. So it's like
he's on the other coast.
Lucky duckies. All right, I'll give it to you. I don't know which side of the place where you guys are located.
He's on the west coast there.
Yeah, we're getting hit hard right now. Also here, speaking of hitting hard, we got clobbering times.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Thanks for having me here, Tom, my good friends. Thanks for having me, and hello, chat. Good to see you, buddies. Looking forward to it.
He's always rock hard and ready to go.
Yes, it's clobbering time.
That's right. And speaking of the Great White North, that, of course, voice you heard before was Script Doctor, who is here as always as my right-hand man. I always need somebody like Script Doctor to keep me in check, or these shows go way too long and crazy, or I say something stupid. And,
yeah. I actually think I add longer to the show than wrap it up.
No, you keep me honest. You keep me honest. That's true. But hello, everybody in the chat. I see some familiar faces out there. If you have not checked out WDW Pro's channel yet, he has a channel now, isn't that right?
I do have a channel, and tomorrow morning I'll have Melanie Mack on for it's just a
nice.
fantastic discussion about woke culture and how entertainment is propaganding our kids and our young people to not go and self-improve anymore. They're not going on adventures. They're just sitting around and complaining and virtue signaling, but emptily.
Yeah.
Emptily? I don't know. Anyway.
Is that a word? It is now. I know
I
you
just
and I
made it happen.
Had a discussion here the other day about Liz O'Neill. I don't know if that's video's made its way to the YouTubes yet. I've been so
it did, absolutely. And Script Doctor will be on either tomorrow afternoon or Saturday, depending on what happens with the Nielsen ratings. I'm waiting to see if there's breaking news. And of course, breaking news can always scramble my plans for the channel, as you guys know. But we do have one in the can and ready to go for Script Doctor, where we talk about superheroes having to have weaknesses and the importance of having that kryptonite angle, or else it's not much fun to follow along.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Good
you know
call.
my kryptonite is jelly donuts.
What is it? Did you say jelly donuts?
Of course. No, I don't.
Oh,
Any kind of donut, really. Any baked good.
yeah.
Any
Pastry is really a
pastry.
Sugar,
is a good
basically.
one. Anything
Chocolate.
that's a pie or chocolate involved.
If I buy a kilo of chocolate, it's gone in a week. I can't have it
Kilo.
around me.
Listen to it.
That's 2 pounds.
I'm
it's
not
just
lying.
funny. I don't hear people talk like that around here. It's just hilarious.
Well, see, for me, it's not the sweets. It's pasta. I cannot be around pasta. I just have to keep it away from me.
That's
so
how
lasagna sings my song.
That's
Nice.
how resistant and resilient Americans are. We were just totally like, fuck this metric system. We don't care how much you're shoving it down our throats. We are not adopting it no matter what.
Screw accuracy.
Well, it is
No
one of
base
those
10
things.
units of measurements here.
No,
I will say,
why would we make it easy? That makes no sense.
we kept the Fahrenheit system, and I have to say that despite some of its flaws, I do like having the larger spectrum of numbers to be able to accurately say what the
It
temperature
seems
is.
more accurate in a way, especially if you're from somewhere like I am in like Wisconsin, where there's varying degrees to the cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
And then you get to do the
frozen
wind chill
water
factor
isn't
too.
Zero. That's the wing that's weird. It's like, why is your frozen water isn't zero? It's just
Well, I'm
30.
with you on that.
I get
that
where
needed to be adjusted.
Script, that is one thing that I will say. Growing up during learning the metric system and the difference between Fahrenheit and Celsius and all that shit, that was one thing that never made much sense to me. But also, like, when it's like really hot, it doesn't sound like it's so hot in Celsius.
Well,
It's
let's
like-
just say that Fahrenheit got the top end right. So when you top 100, it
Yeah.
feels like it, and you're like, "Oh man, we're above 100."
exactly.
You know,
You feel like you're in a fucking oven.
and then at the bottom end of it, when you hit 32, you're like, 32? Who came up with this? Why couldn't somebody come up with a 0 to 100 system? It would have made sense. Oh well.
Well, that's Celsius.
I know. Well,
Well,
yeah, but then
well,
when it's warm,
if
like
you're
we
100
just
in
said,
Celsius,
When we
If
say
you're
it's
100
like,
in Celsius, you're in
35
trouble.
up here, that's pretty warm. If you say it's 35, but you're like,
Right.
that doesn't seem like it's hot. I'm like, yeah, I can understand because it feels like a very
yeah,
low
but see,
number.
that's what I'm saying is like I get what Pro's saying though too, is like, because when it's like 100 Fahrenheit, it feels hot as hell, and it feels more accurate than saying, oh, it's like what 70 something Fahrenheit.
You know,
Like,
nobody in the
I'll put
audience
you
came
this
in here
way.
expecting a good debate on Celsius.
I know, right?
versus
We're talking
Fahrenheit.
about fucking weather, right?
That's
But I'll
true,
tell you
I'll tell you
this:
this.
I
If you
want
ever
a
felt
100
100
system.
If
I
you
want a
ever
system
felt
where
100
0 is
Celsius,
frozen
you'd
and
die.
100 is sweaty. That's what I want.
Yeah, but if you ever felt 100 degrees Celsius, you'd be dead. 'Cause
Well, that's
really
mercurial, let's say.
It is mercurial almost. Yeah.
I'll
That's
take
that's where
precision.
things get set on fire. That's when you can see your friends and family spontaneously combust.
Well, only if it's your enemies. That's when it's bad.
The metric system is the tool of the devil. My car gets 40 rods to the hog's head, and that's the way I likes it.
Oh, Dad, sit down. We don't want to hear about your Celsius and Fahrenheit again.
Back when the Simpsons were wonderful.
Back in
Then
the day.
Disney got involved. Speaking of Disney, that's a hell of a segue, kids. Because we got Pro here, so we got to talk Disney, right?
Let's talk Disney. I mean, look at the logo here. We got to do it.
Yeah, but we got some super chats. Let's grab these real quick first. Pilgrim Media is in the house. How you doing, good friend? Says, I watched season 3, episode 4 of Picard and got verklempt. I got to watch that one yet. I haven't got there.
It's garbage.
Is it?
I took my dog to the vet the other day and
Everybody
got him
else is like-
verklempt, so he didn't like it.
Yeah, they don't like
Yeah.
that when you do that.
So that's a good thing or a bad thing there? Good
don't
to-
know.
I
Depends
think
on
we
your
got enough-
depends on your dog.
I think
Oh,
he's
wait.
thinking clipped.
Yeah, I meant the guy about
Different.
the super chat, but yeah. Okay.
I can see people really. For me, it was just the same as the previous episode. It was good, but it didn't hit
Nothing
me
good
on
about any of the
emotional-
season at all. It's all bad. But
I mean, the second episode was like for me a downturn, but some people liked
Yeah.
it more. The third episode was a bit better. I haven't watched this new one yet, but yeah, I can't.
There are
comment on it.
parts of it that capture the spirit of Star Trek, like when cadets are actually excited to see Admiral Picard because they're aware of his missions and accomplishments, and they have great reverence and respect for him. It's a great slap in the face to that season 1 scene where the guy didn't know who he was.
and is the rest of the episode filled with bad writing like the first 2 seasons? So
I mean, it's better than Voyager because they avoid all the techno babble. They do
still
hit a
not
lot
bad.
of obvious points with regards to Shaw that everyone pretty much guessed, and it became true. And yeah, the way that they handle the changelings vulnerabilities,
Oh, boy.
there's some weird things going off there that I didn't quite mesh with, and also the glaring obvious part for anyone that's into Starship lore is that they're trying to say that this new Titan is a 20-year-old ship when it clearly isn't, and they're
They've
really
already- the whole
not
timeline's
getting-
screwed up anyway. Yeah.
they're really not understanding what a refit means, because
No, they don't.
this is clearly a new construction, because a refit would be it'd still be a Luna class, but it'd be upgraded and a little bit more pristine and whatever.
Nerds.
Look-
God no.
The
Yeah.
people who write the show, make the show, don't know anything about Star Trek anyway. But that'd take forever for us.
Look,
We'll
I
get
can
one. Some
agree.
people
I
haven't
can
seen it yet.
understand that, right? Like from a technical aspect, I can see like the techie nerds getting, not enjoying this so much. But from a story, emotional aspect, I can understand why some people are enjoying it. I'm
Yeah,
kind of
and
in
I
the
would
middle at
say,
this point, so
well,
yeah.
this is not anyone this is a whole new team working on Star Trek. They definitely know it, but they have that stink of the previous 2 seasons still on it, and they're also very restricted by how they can shoot it, which also sucks. They also don't understand genetics when it comes to male pattern baldness. They think it's father to son. It's not. It's father to daughter, daughter to son. Whatever your grandpa had, and you're a dude on your mom's side, that's you in the future, buddy.
That's bullshit. My grandpa had more hair than I do.
Your grandpa on your mother's side?
Yeah,
Really?
as far as I remember.
Are you sure
There's a
he's
toupee.
really your
We're
mom's
revealing.
dad? Because I've had
Maybe,
some
I
people
don't
find
know.
out
I mean,
the hard way.
I'm pretty
that's not the
sure
case.
that I'm probably like the closest to my grandfather on my mother's side, which is weird, but yeah, I don't know.
And your brother's bald too?
No, my brother got lucky.
That's suspect.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Check his arms. Make sure he's not shaving them and putting his hair on top of his head. That's a real thing. Or,
There's that, yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, I have seen it before on rare occasion when a balding man will take his ear hair and just fold the whole thing over. It's bizarre. Don't do that.
Oh my God.
I will say I saw that one time and that was
The comb over
Wow.
thing is a big no-no, yeah.
Yeah.
Incompetent Alex Kurtzman is in the house and says, does CW or HBO Max save Superman and Lois season 4? Wasn't that the only show, to my knowledge, script that was still continuing after this whole thing, or am I wrong?
It's got 1 season with season 3 for sure. I know it's up in the air. I've heard from some people that were working on that show that they've gone to do something else already. And they haven't been told of a season 4 yet. And other rumors I've heard is that it's already been canceled because they don't know what they want to do. With that, it's an expensive show. It doesn't have the ratings returns that they need. It's also CW. It's also technically part of that Arrowverse thing, which they're wrapping up already. And I don't know if they had the viewership to justify keep it going. So that's the stuff that I've heard. I've never heard any confirmation of a season 4. If they do get one, then they found the money somewhere and they found the value to exploit it. So I'm happy for the cast and team that's working on it. But I'm not a fan of that show either. But regardless of that, if they do manage to get it, I don't know if it'll be on HBO Max. They might license it out to somewhere else because CW is not going to be existing in the same way.
Exactly, that's what I was
year.
thinking is. But yeah, that's the only show that I know of that I had heard that hadn't yet technically been pretty much ended or canceled. So yeah, but I guess we'll have to see. Mecca J says, have you guys seen the latest trailer for the Super Mario movie? It's gotten me more hyped to see it.
What?
Yep.
I saw the
Wait a
Super
minute.
Bowl one. There's
There's a
another
new
new
one?
one.
Yeah, new one dropped earlier today. It's
Oh,
not
no,
bad.
Well,
Sadly, Chris
Really?
Pine. No, Chris
Pratt.
Pratt. There we go. Chris Pratt. He doesn't do a voice. He's just him.
This must be it right here. Final movie trailer. All right, let's Universal.
When's that coming out?
Fuck it.
Soon?
You guys pay super chats, so it helps it. So this is for you guys.
Where am I?
Ooh, fresh meat for the grinder.
Pay him no heed. He is cute, but he is.
There's gotta be a way out of here.
There's no escape. The only hope is the sweet relief of death.
Whoa! Oh, you've got to be kidding me! My army! Koopas! Goombas! Whatever those things are! We will destroy the Mushroom Kingdom!
Bowser is coming.
I'm not afraid. I'll do anything for my brother.
We're going to save him.
He's got a little bit of an accent.
No, he doesn't.
Yes! Fire!
A tinge.
You asked for it. This is fun.
It's a little bit more of a bronze or
Here we go!
Let's end this.
Why did they cast
All
Seth
right.
Rogen as Donkey Kong? Why?
I don't know.
Why? That was the most
Oh,
jarring
did they?
thing of the whole trailer.
Oh my God, he's everything. He's everywhere.
He's terrible.
Yeah, that
Why?
part. Yeah.
But he makes people money.
Does he?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe? How?
Oh, he does. He's produced The Boys, that made money. He produced Preacher, that made money. Yeah, even some of his terrible comedies, as much as they didn't make it with the audience, they managed to make enough money for him to still be considered profitable. Again, Hollywood is very much behind when it comes to the audience and what they like, which is because they prefer comfort and reliability.
You would have thought after Santa Inc., after that became the lowest rated series of all time on Rotten Tomatoes, which is known
All
for
the crap they
protecting
went
those
through
sorts of
with that,
things.
yeah.
And after he blamed that on Caucasian bad people, we'll just say it that way, you would have thought that Hollywood would have said, this guy's nuts.
Oh, no, you can't say nuts because he targeted the right people to target.
That's true.
I'm guessing he doesn't have a whole lot of creative control here. So if he just does a good job with the voice acting, I don't care. I'm
Okay,
just
but
looking
I
for a good
swear, if
movie.
Donkey Kong goes, I'm
You know he's gonna.
if Donkey Kong does that, I'm out.
He
Hey Mario, you want to go smoke a bong?
he produced Invincible.
Let's do some
which I-
mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly. He produced Invincible, but he only did one voice on that, and it was a character I liked, and just because it was Seth Rogen, I'm like, I liked it from the comics. And he did the voice. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, his voice doesn't work for that character because it's far
No.
more juvenile and ignorant as opposed
Terrible.
to just, oh, I made a mistake and I kind of trying to fix
Right.
things.
It sucks.
J-Law is trending worldwide, huh?
I thought
She
always
has a new
trending.
trailer
She
out,
was the
that's
first
why.
thing to
But you know
ever
what?
trend in this world.
We're going to take advantage of that tonight. That's for sure. Fuck yeah. It's because she
I can't
dropped a
believe-
new trailer today.
When she's not trending, that's when you get worried.
Okay, now has anybody seen this fucking trailer? Because I really don't want to watch it again.
Trailer for what now?
For what?
No Hard Feelings. This is J-Law's new movie.
No,
Yeah,
I
The
don't.
only
heard
reason
of it.
I bring
Never
it
heard
up,
of it.
because if the roles were reversed, let's say, this is a movie that the wokeified folks would freak the fuck out about. Let's see. Fine, we'll watch about maybe a minute of this stupid garbage.
Whose body is that?
Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Dog.
Gary,
Good joke.
what the fuck?
Court order for asset seizure.
So they're taking my car?
You went radio silent on me.
Is that what this is about? Just last night, I thought, I missed that fucker.
Is that true? Buongiorno.
That's my cousin. Gary, I swear to God, he's my cousin. He's my second cousin.
There's something seriously wrong with you.
I'm an Uber driver and I don't have
She
a
is
car.
desperate.
I'm gonna lose my house.
You think
I know, right?
I chose him? Look at this.
Need a car, date our son this summer, then bring him out of his shell before college. In exchange, we'll give you a Buick Regal. Date is in quotes. It's gotta be a joke, right?
So basically, this is about her going out with a 19-year-old to get a car.
To get a car.
This is
Somebody
the
wanna
most
look up how
pathetic
old J-Law
attempt at a
is?
trailer to grab views.
Modern comedy.
Well, this is so you don't have to actually have the audio on, you know?
This is so lame.
So she's trying to be funny now?
Parents, I'm surprised they're not going to fuck them themselves.
We've just been so worried about our son.
He's going to
Now, if a guy made this
Well, I've heard of
movie,
it. You know, we tried everything to bring him out of his shell.
He doesn't come out of his room. He doesn't talk to girls. Doesn't drink.
So when you say date him, do you mean date him or date him? Yes.
Date him. Date him hard.
I'll date his brains out.
what the fuck happened
volunteers
to
at the animal shelter.
fucking, that
This is
was,
the saddest trailer ever.
oh my
This
God,
is
what the
weird.
hell happened to Matthew Broderick?
Oh my
This is
God.
has-beens trying to be edgy
You know who he's
over
married
and
to,
over.
right?
Well, yeah, but
that's true.
we try to forget that script.
She's
Why
saying,
does his hair
That
look
murdering
like that?
horse face.
weren't you
Like,
once
whatever.
Ferris Bueller and now you're this?
Well,
Why
remember,
does
these
his
are
hair
bad
look
parents.
like that? He looks so terrible. They all look so
Oh,
Why
bad.
does he look like he got into Robert De Niro's skin?
He's playing a bad parent, clearly. So
Yeah,
let him
it's
go
pretty
through
bad.
that
I'll give you that.
It would be weird if he didn't. If he played like an alpha male, and he's like, "Yeah, date my kid." It's like no alpha male dad would do
No.
that. He'd be like, Kid, we're going out in the street, and you're going to ask every single girl you see out on a date until they say yes, and we're not leaving until
No,
does.
exactly.
All right,
Just
let's
hires a blonde to come
what's
bang
we
his
got?
kid.
Someone help me, Lord. Are we going to
This is
continue
all
this
beta
shit?
mail,
Do you
actually.
really
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
say any more?
Go ahead.
Date him hard.
I'll date his brains out. He volunteers at the animal shelter. Hi. Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Your dog. How about I give you a ride home?
This is on the way to my house.
And she's got a fucking van?
You're my
I thought you
hostage.
needed a car.
What you got down there? Something for me?
What in the hell?
Why?
You tried kidnapping me!
You're 19. Grow up.
Okay, well, actually, that's going to be meme
God.
forever. So thank you to the trailer for
Okay,
that.
like, now think about it, though. Again,
doesn't
I
look
reiterate,
19.
Other way around?
let's reverse these roles for
away.
a second.
Yeah.
Not
No,
possible.
no, I want her to get
Oh,
sprayed
yeah.
with pepper spray. I don't want to reverse that one. Everything else, I'm with you, but she gets pepper sprayed and everything.
No,
we
no,
do
no,
for
no.
her.
But I know what you're I know. You're right. That's going to be very usable. I'm wishing, that. we
Wow.
had
God
it
bless you,
sooner,
Jennifer
but,
Lawrence, for giving this to us. We
Oh,
thank
the
you
J
so
Law
much.
awards are going to be hopping tonight. I can tell you
She's
that
the
right
first
now.
woman to be pepper sprayed.
Maybe
That's a good one. Could be.
you might
Oh,
be right
my.
about that.
I'm just wondering where she got the van from, because her whole premise of this is to date the guy to get a car, because she doesn't have wheels.
I know. That's
She's
what I just
rollerblading.
asked. I mean, okay,
Oh.
she's 32 years old.
She
Right?
looks like she's freaking 40 in this thing.
She does look older, and she's clearly wearing
Yeah.
some prosthetics underneath some of those dresses, because we've all seen the pictures. She's not that voluptuous underneath.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let's finish.
He'll
this
have a
crap.
Long Island iced tea.
This is the worst iced tea I've ever had.
One thing about me, I'm
And
the
she
best.
gave a minor alcohol.
Nah, that's normal with Canada.
Dance party.
Don't know what.
I know. But again, no
19,
script. I'm
but
trying to
yeah,
wrap my
child
head
enough.
around this. If they made let's say, who's 32 right about now? Chris Pine or whatever, Chris Pratt, one of those
He's like
guys.
40.
Those guys are all in the 40s.
Fuck, I can't think of anybody that young.
Time
Okay?
keeps on slipping.
There's
Slipping,
not
slipping.
many 30.
How about, like,
That's the
something
problem. We don't have
Holland
any
or
good
somebody
30-year-old. He's not even 30 yet.
Oh, well, he's old. He's
Not
adult,
even
though.
Timothy Chalamet is either.
Talmadge-
That's the thing. We have
Talmadge,
a gap.
27, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a gap there. There's no real big actors in their 30s right now. Okay, well,
I
let's just say
remember back when Bob Barker was big.
Chris Pratt, even though he's a little bit older, even though
He's in his
just
30s,
the
isn't
same, because he's kind of in that same kind of comedic role kind of situation. Put him in a situation where they're trying to do this with a 19-year-old nerdy girl,
Oh, yeah, this would never
Mhm.
work.
he? Won't happen.
and he just
I mean, it would
and she
work in
just
the
gave
80s.
alcohol to a minor. Do you realize that they would? And that's in the trailer.
To do. I just know my mom would have wanted me to save the
And I'm not
house.
trying to be a
just nervous.
prude or anything like that. I'm just saying it's
I
not
don't know. We
bullshit.
can go skinny dipping.
What about sharks?
Run here.
Jellyfish?
Man, they really
Not
gave
this
it all
season.
in the
It's
trailer.
really the lack of lifeguards.
Let's get the fuck in here right now.
Okay.
I'm just a bit of a romantic.
He's actually
She's like rapey as hell. I'm gonna fucking say it. Like if this was a dude,
They're trying to make it, I guess they're trying to make kind of an old style type of comedy. It's just not, man.
I don't.
that's
I get that, but I'm just saying. I know. I'm being a bit of an ass.
That's the irony, Tom. It's the woman that's being the aggressive one.
Yes.
He doesn't
Yeah.
look 19. I mean, he could pass for 15, maybe.
No, he doesn't.
Well, Timothy Chalamet
right,
still
man.
doesn't look like he's an adult either.
Mm.
This isn't a comedy. It's
And he was
torture.
and he played a character who was in a relationship with Armie Hammer, I think,
Oh, Lord. He'll eat
when
your
he
toes.
was and as an underage man. Yeah, so it's actually there's a creepy parallel here.
He'll eat your toes. What I've heard. Okay, do we have to endure any more of this crap?
You
Well,
may as
I
well
mean, we
finish
all
it
know
now.
that
She gets pepper sprayed again and we miss out on it. I'm
really
sorry.
sick.
Oh, yeah.
The best part about getting older is not giving a fuck what people think.
I'm an adult now. I can make my own decisions.
That's good.
You want to savor it. Savor it.
Come on, you're getting out of here. You don't belong here. Let's
Touch me.
get away from her. Stay.
Okay, yep, see, we
Hey,
can
that
miss
was
that.
that's something fun.
We should go.
Okay, I've come to a realization
lose my
after this trailer. I now know what I want in life. Here's what I want out of a movie. They can take away 80% of this trailer, but I just want a movie where she gets pepper sprayed, punched in the throat,
Punched in the
just
throat.
I'm loving these parts. Can we do that instead? Can we do that movie? Can she play a crash test dummy? Could we do that one instead?
I can't believe you guys made me.
She's
watch
great at that
again.
too. Did you see? I mean, she takes a punch better than Harrison Ford. That was fantastic.
But since we had to sit through that, just a reminder, kids, in 90 minutes tonight, after Midnight's Edge After Dark, tune in to Comics Division for the first annual J-Law Awards. Celebrities, music, explosions, and more. Tune in. All right, tune in after the show, guys. But yes, let's get on the main topic here. I know we got a few more super chats here, but let's get to the main topic before we lose our main guest here, or our special guest here. What do we call it?
Are we talking about clobbering? Clobbering, where are you going?
No one could ever be bigger than you, buddy. Come on, man.
Right.
Yeah, right. Sure.
This recently come out. There's going to be a bit of a cutback going on over at Disney.
Yeah, Mouse getting a little bit of sticky fingers with his money now, huh?
I can't find the freaking story.
Here's a story.
That's how ready I am for this show today, guys. Okay, here we go. This is one of them anyway. This will work. I don't think this is the one I wanted before, but whatever.
What do you got? What are you pulling up over there, Tom?
Bob Iger. Bob Iger weighs in on Marvel and Star Wars and the cost of films and televisions to focus on quality, not volume.
Okay, now I know. Now I know what we're talking about. I'm ready to go, man. Here we go.
Sorry. It took me a minute to get this fucker up there. But yes, it comes from the... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Clobby.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, his quote here is, it comes in form of reducing the expense per content, whether it's TV series or film, where costs have just skyrocketed, the Disney chief told investor conference. Basically, I'm really pleased that the support that I'm getting from the content creators of the company, it's significant.
Funny how that works when they could get fired otherwise, eh?
Yeah, and it comes in the form of reducing the expense per content, whether it's TV series or film, where costs have just skyrocketed in a huge way. That's called inflation, motherfucker, and not a supportable way, in my opinion. They all agree to that. Sure they do. Iger said, adding that it's also about understanding how much volume we need, reducing how much we make. So it's how much we spend on what we make and how much we make. I'm reading that verbatim. Wow. However, Iger left open the potential for making content that the company could sell elsewhere, which is obviously, we knew this was going to happen. And we, as we look to reduce the content that we're creating for our own platforms, there probably are opportunities to license to third parties, Iger said. For a while, that was verboten or something we couldn't possibly do because we were so favoring our own streaming platforms. Whose fucking fault was that, Bobby? But anyway.
Yeah, they set this whole thing up. I mean,
yeah. I'm going to let you comment here just a moment, Prob. Let me finish his stupid quote, then we'll get
No, I've got too many great thoughts. We can't do that.
But if we get to that point where we need less content for those platforms, we still have the capability of producing that content. Why not use it to grow revenue? And that's what we will likely do. He added that the core franchise content, Marvel, Star Wars, Frozen, etc., would remain exclusive to Disney's own platform. Disney is very strong and the most powerful brand, certainly in family entertainment. He said, adding that when customers see the live-action Little Mermaid in May.
Oh, God. Hey, did you guys see the poster for that? It looks like a war movie.
I said that looks very dour. I said, it'll remind you just how strong the brand is. And what we have to look at, Marvel, is not necessarily the volume of Marvel storytelling. Oh, this is telling here. But how many times we go back to the well on certain characters. Like I said, sequels typically work well for us. But do you need a third or fourth, for instance? Or is it time to turn to other characters? I think you're looking at this the wrong way here, buddy.
X-Men.
There's nothing.
Well, that's what he's actually talking about.
Yeah, anyway, inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand. Oh, bullshit. I think we just have to look at the characters and stories and yeah, bullshit. Okay, So he keeps going with the bullshit here. I'm sure you want to say something, Pro. Go ahead and cut in here now, because this keeps going and going with his
All right, so
nonsense.
yeah, there's a lot here to dig into. So when they first started coming out and talking about the cuts that were going to have to happen beyond the hiring freeze, etc., they talked about cutting back the cadence of content for Disney Plus. They went ahead and postponed some Marvel shows. And, one of the things I said about that was, lesson not learned, because Disney was spending ridiculous amounts of money on the budgets for all of these productions. And so, to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, both Minions, Rise of Gru, and the latest Puss in Boots movie were produced for an amount less than $100 million. And so, when the Minions then make close to $1 billion, you can just imagine. I mean, my gosh, the profit margin that's there. Whereas Disney, for Lightyear, they were around the 200 million mark. And you say, well, how in the world can Lightyear be that much more expensive, right? I get that you all want to say that you're the premier animation company and you're spending on, having that premier level of animation. But seriously, how can it be more than double, and then you don't have any advantage return-wise from that? And so you start looking at, well, what did they do? And so they've got a astrophysicist that they bring on as a consultant from NASA to work with Lightyear. And this is the kind of stupidity that Disney had become accustomed to. Why do you need an astrophysicist consultant from NASA? What's the point? It's Lightyear. None of that movie made any sense. You didn't have to have that to shoot him through little rings that take him through time. That's just bullcrap. And so that's the level of glut that Disney had become accustomed to. Now, the thing that is interesting to me about all of this, and boy, I think Disney's in trouble. I mean, we've been watching this. Okay. We, not the normies out there, have been saying that Disney's making bad decisions, since 2017? And the media, and then the Disney pixie dusters out there, they've all been saying, oh, no, Disney's fine. No, this is just a bunch of Neanderthals out there. Oh, no, it's a small segment. It's it's the fandom menace, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. Okay, now we've been watching all these bad decisions pile up. They've cascaded, and now we've got an avalanche of negativity at Disney. It seems like it's really culminating now. And Disney is in a well, okay, so let me give you the level of bad that Disney is in. Disney set up essentially their company to run off of Disney Plus, and then everything else outside of ESPN, but everything else is kind of acting like tributaries flowing into Disney Plus. And so when they talk about linear content, when they talk about the box office, they're talking about that all being icing on the cake, but it's all flowing into Disney Plus, and that's the whole business idea for their content segments. All right, Disney Plus, Disney Plus, Disney Plus. In the last quarter, Netflix, which is double Disney Plus subscribers, Netflix in North America grew millions. Again, millions of subscribers. Okay, so clearly Netflix at double the number of accounts is not saturated. They still have room to grow. And despite the fact that they had that dip in their stock last year, they're doing quite well now. Disney, on the other hand, last quarter, Disney, stagnant growth, no growth essentially for North America. Okay, now if that's what your situation is, then if you want to reinvigorate your platform, one of the things that you would like to do is you would like to create fantastic content. What is Disney doing instead? They're saying, we're going to cut back on the content. We're going to lease out the content. We're going to cut the budgets for the content. And maybe those are the right decisions, but those are not the decisions you make if you're a company flush with cash, determined to win the arms race with Netflix and the other streaming platforms. This is a company that is somehow spiraling, or else they would not be taking these kinds of drastic steps in the face of their platform being stagnant. One last point, and then I'll hand it over to everybody else. If you go back 6 to 12 months and you look at the Nielsen ratings, you find that Disney had already become quite competitive. And sure, Netflix was by far the winner. But Netflix had always been. I mean, there was never even a question. Netflix was the undisputed king in streaming ratings, right? They were the de facto winner. Disney comes in, and by the time we get to the season finale of season 1 of The Mandalorian, they're now competitive and they start getting shows into the top 10 and top 10 subcategories. And if you go back 6 to 12 months, you start seeing Disney. They're all over the place. They're not, the king when it comes to getting the most content on those top 10s, but they're there. And you could see them. And in fact, when it came to movies, Disney dominated. You'd go, and anybody can go back and look at the news pieces on this. Do your own investigative journalism here. But you go back 6 to 12 months, if you go to the movie subcategory, Disney's got like the top 8 nonstop. Now you go look at Nielsen, and what you will find is that out of, let's say, 40 different pieces of content that are tracked in subcategories, Disney will maybe have 3. And of those, most of them are very low. So, and even worse, one of them is always going to be Bluey out of those 3 or 4 that they'll have, which is a BBC.
Something they license, yeah.
And they censor that show because they can't stand it. They want the Proud Family louder and prouder, but they won't censor that. But they'll censor Bluey for talking about toots, because children, they want to talk about that. So Disney hates the content they've acquired that's actually successful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on the Marvel front, like here, I mean, you did mention X-Men's on the horizon, so is Fantastic Four, but
X-Men should have been out. It's so stupid.
Well, and the other thing that stuck out to me was like where he brought up sequels, because clearly this is a comment towards Ant-Man, right? And the failure that it clearly is.
It could be about the Marvels too.
Well, you're not wrong, but here's the thing: is he's commenting on, what did we just have? The 3rd film in the Ant-Man series that, let's be real, this is the first public flop for the Marvel franchise.
Well,
they can't get around this. This is the first time in a couple weeks here, and you know it, Pro, because you're going to be one of the guys writing one of these headlines, I'm sure, where it says Ant-Man has lost about $100-some million or so for fucking Disney. And you're not going to be the only one. The other ones like Variety and Hollywood Reporter and everybody else are going to probably be reporting about the same things. Now they'll probably be able to shave off a few million there and say like 70 or whatever. But I guarantee by the time you and Valiant are done, you're going to find a way to squeeze it.
Well, it's the trades are crazy on that kind of stuff. They never want to talk about they never want to talk about numbers that came in post-production that advanced above the predicted budget. And they never want to talk about the marketing stuff. They just want to stick with the original production cost that was labeled out.
Well, yeah, because that's how they fool everybody. However, I still think Eternals is going to hold the place at the lowest because it only made 401 worldwide, and Ant-Man has already surpassed that.
Has Ant-Man already beat it?
So then you also have to account for inflation and possible aggregate of ticket sales to see how much it really did drop.
The Marvels will beat it. The Marvels will beat all of this.
The other problem is though with script. You're not wrong what you're saying about the Eternals, but this is a 3rd film in a franchise that it should have gone up because the 2nd film did. And this is going along with what we've been saying. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has consistently been on not just a downward trend, but almost like a cliff, falling off a cliff.
But Tom, you're right. Basically. Okay, so when you made the comment that there's no way to get out of this is the first flop they can't get out of. You're exactly right. The reason you're right is because with all of this other stuff that was flopping in phase 4, and stuff was flopping. I mean, that's who would have ever thought 5-6 years ago?
Right, the Eternals also had COVID as an excuse. Yeah,
exactly. So they could shroud it in these are pandemic films, and you saw all the trades, all the publications doing this. Everybody was saying, it's in the pandemic films. This one's doing actually the best. It's only lost $60 million. Blah 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 blah. Now we are definitely post-pandemic. They can't hide anymore because we've had Top Gun Maverick, we've had Avatar: The Way of Water, etc. They cannot hide it anymore. And they also can't hide it behind the excuse of, this was a new set of heroes and we could have marketed it better. No. This is your beginning of phase 5. This is one of your Avengers. And this is your supposed grand villain who's going to carry us through the next 2 phases.
And kicking off
hiding from it.
And the kickoff of your new phase on top of it all, like you're saying. That's what I was saying. It stands out more so than the Eternals or Black Widow or Shang-Chi or even, like I said, Wakanda Forever was probably the biggest, kick to the nuts to them, because you got to imagine they were expecting that to make $1 billion.
Well, it made 1.3. It made 1.3 billion.
Wakanda Forever, I mean.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. In comparison to the original Black Panther, that's my point. Even if it didn't quite make as much as the original Black Panther, because it didn't have Chadwick Boseman in it, I guarantee they were still banking on that fucker making $1 billion. And when it failed, and not just failed by just a little bit, but by a lot of bit, that I think was the moment they're like, oh shit. Because Doctor Strange did okay for what actually better than any Doctor Strange movie had before, but we all know because of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But Thor, there was a little bit of a warning there. Like they could kind of just like shrug that one off a little bit because it still did as well as Ragnarok did. This Ant-Man and Black Panther situation, though, that's where, the rot is setting in, is what I'm trying to say. But anyway.
So they have the audience numbers. And although that's not often reported, that's what has them very nervous. And that's what has them, we're going to see some major changes come to Disney. And there have been people who said, Pro, you're way too negative about Disney. Why is it always bad news? Yada, yada. Well, the one, I'm trying to call balls and strikes. And two, the worse this gets, the quicker we get to a course correction. And we're getting there now, although I'm not sure that we're at the point yet where the course correction is the correct one. But the audience numbers, that's what has them deeply concerned, because once you flush away the inflation stuff that's propping up these numbers at the box office, and once you actually look at butts and seats, which, by the way, is highly correlated then to cultural impact being the merchandising sales, the interest in going to the parks to see these characters, etc. When they see the audience numbers sitting at 40 to 50%, and that's where they're at, that's a collapse. And that's what has them nervous. All right, don't everybody jump in at once now.
No. I was waiting to see if anybody else had a comment. I didn't want to dominate the conversation with you here. But before we lose you, because we are close to that, I want to move on just a little bit ahead with what Bob is saying here. Also Star Wars, we made three what we called saga films, which is obviously the successors to George's first 6. They did very well at the box office, tremendously well, as a matter of fact. We made 2 so-called standalone. That's weird. 2 so-called standalones in Rogue One and Solo. Rogue One did quite well. Solo was a little disappointing to us. It gave us pause just to think maybe the cadence was a little too aggressive. See, again,
now that we're doing 5-year pauses.
Yeah, this is them missing the point, though. It wasn't because they were aggressive. And this is the same thing with Marvel. It has everything to do with you gave us too much shit too fast that was garbage. Right? And it's the same thing we're seeing with Marvel.
Nobody believes this stuff anymore. This is politicking.
No, right. Obviously, it's all political answering, but still. And then he goes, it just gave us pause, and then to pull back a bit, we are still developing Star Wars films. We're going to make sure that when we make one, that it's the right one, so we're able to be careful there. See, so this is also coming off of the heels of we're just hearing of all the other Star Wars projects, except for basically Taika Waititi's coming to a complete halt at this point.
And who wants to actually put money on Waititi getting that movie made? I mean,
I'm curious if script has he turned in a script yet?
No, not that I've heard.
That's probably why. That's probably why. Because they can't tell him no, it's dead until he turns in that fucking script anyway.
They can't give him a failing grade for his test because he won't turn it in. That's what's going, to put it in.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding on that point. It's the same thing when they people talk about some of these other movies that are so, like the Ta-Nehisi Coates Superman thing. It's like, well, he hasn't turned in the script yet. It's still in pre-production, blah, 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 blah.
Tom, are you doubting? Are you doubting that Waititi and Rian Johnson are in their garage right now working together, knocking out Johnson's future trilogy and Waititi's next standalone?
Sure.
I can't believe you doubt this now.
In the multiverse, I believe it.
In the multiverse, one of them is Batman.
Oh God, we're doomed in that multiverse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Star Wars is not really anything that, we already kind of know what kind of shape Star Wars is in. There's no sense in beating that dead horse. But just to kind of broach on something that you had brought up recently, he does touch on Pixar and the Disney animation. And you had recently done a report on something that's related to Pixar, did you not?
Yes, but remind me which one it is.
Well, you did a Pixar. You had an exclusive you told me about yesterday, I think it was, was it the day before? You dropped a video on some Pixar situations there. I just was basically curious about how you feel like he's gonna in this.
You're talking about you're talking about the John Lasseter situation.
Yeah, that, and
Okay,
also I want to get your take on how you feel they're going to go forward financially with Pixar, since, as you pointed out so eloquently at the beginning of your whatever you want to call it, I don't want to call it soapbox or rant, because it wasn't either one of those. You know, you were just breaking it all out. Your breakdown. There you go.
Yeah. So
you did bring up at the top about how basically Disney is being trounced on by Universal's animation right now.
Yep.
And Pixar hasn't been able to have a hit since, honestly, you could argue Toy Story 4.
Was Coco's Pixar, right?
Yeah, was that after Toy Story 4?
I think that's after. I think
okay,
Coco's
so since
their last
Coco.
success.
Okay, so since Coco then.
Am I right on that one?
I think it is after.
Okay.
It's hard. Yeah, it might be after. It's hard.
And
for
I
me to
think those
remember
two might have even came out the same year. I'm trying to remember now.
So let's talk about 3 issues that Disney has with Pixar, and then we'll talk about the potential solution coming down the pipe. All right. So problem number 1 is that John Lasseter is now over with Apple, and he is taking a much bigger role with Skydance than I think Disney had thought. And in doing so, they face a real competitor who could knock them out. So one of the things we'll talk about tomorrow on the show, on Midnight's Edge, not on my channel this time, will be that Apple is now potentially looking at theatrical releases for their animated stuff with John Lasseter. And that is coming from a highly placed source that reached out to me. And I don't want to talk too much about that source, but I think it's legit for sure, or else I wouldn't be covering it. Another issue here is that John Lasseter is now actively taking off the chessboard legends within Disney's own roster. I'll give you an example. For this next movie that Apple is doing, Spellbound, John Lasseter was able to convince Alan Menken to come on board and do the soundtrack.
Interesting, because he hasn't done one for them in a while.
Well, so that's the guy who's largely, he's the guy who was in charge of the music
Alan Menken
for the
and
Disney
Howard
Renaissance.
Ashman. Yeah, Howard Ashman and Alan Menken are pretty much the ground zero for everything that began with Little Mermaid leading up through The Lion King, up until The Lion King.
Absolutely. And, he's done some other stuff. He's come back and worked with Disney on some other things. But the fact that he would go over with Lasseter, and we all remember that Lasseter was kind of, rode out on a horse that he didn't deserve to ride on, because they wanted to Me Too him, but all they could get was that he hugged too much, which is just
it smelled like alcohol, which I still don't believe he was an alcoholic.
Right. Yeah. Come on. And so they removed him, and he was sort of the gatekeeper that kept the animated stuff from going in this social propaganda area that we've been down now since he's gone. So when you hear about these people who have worked for a long time with Disney and are big name, we're talking about real Disney legends, probably given the Disney Legends Awards, when they're willing to cross that line and go to him and work for him, that is a signal to Disney, because that would have been an offense to Disney, where they would have said, well, we're not really going to work with you anymore. They're not in that position. Nobody cares. So here's point 3 about why Disney's got a real problem. And this is the biggest one, honestly. So, there's some murmuring and there's some talk in the trades. Really, you hear the trades starting to hammer Star Wars. But now things are starting to talk about Disney animation, because it's getting hard to ignore, the Light Years and the Strange Worlds, especially when you've got Puss in Boots potentially relaunching the Shrek franchise. Oh my gosh. So it's getting hard when Disney, is placing 3rd, 4th, or 5th for animated films in terms of revenue. Now, unlike the trades where that's murmuring, when it comes to people trying to decide where they want to go do their careers, I'm being told that Lasseter is highly successful right now in getting the graduates out of college, the premier people, the premier creatives, the premier animators, the premier artists, and pulling them over to Skydance, that is now beginning to be seen as that's the place that's going to be up and coming. And Pixar now has competition. So you might think about it like this. Think about college football. If you're the top team and suddenly you're having all these losses, your competitors now are starting to get those recruits because the recruits are saying, well, that team, they're on the way out. And John Lasseter, there's nobody bigger when it comes to animation and success. There's nobody bigger. And he's the coach.
He's Nick Saban, huh? Yeah.
Right. He is now pickpocketing all those geniuses that Disney was counting on. And if you look at the Pareto principle and you think about the geniuses at the extreme are very difficult to acquire and retain. Disney had them by default. They don't anymore. That's John Lasseter coming in there and picking the very cream of the crop out.
Yeah, and that icon I had up there before is one of my favorites of back in the day from when Lasseter first took over both, and or at least it was a little after that. And that was just about how he was kind of getting spread a little thin between Disney Animation and Pixar. And now that he's got his own, his own crew, doing his own thing, concentrating on one project at a time, I'm hoping he gets back to firing on all cylinders, because he is one of those really great creators that I think didn't, like the way they did him in Pixar was just dirty as fuck. Like I've talked about it before, gone down, the basics of what kind of happened and how it boiled down to a few people who just didn't like that a white man was telling them that the story should be this way or that way, or
and we see the consequences now, don't we?
Yeah. Exactly that. And off that, let's get into some of these super chats here before we lose you, because you are leaving soon. In fact, we had one specifically about this. Let's start there. When was the last time Disney made a good movie? Asked Mario Trillo. 5-6 years. That's a full generation of children gone. Disney is going to have a long road ahead. Well earned. You're not wrong, Mario. That's a good point. I mean, Disney, floundered for years until, not to be punny about it, until they had like Little Mermaid basically bring them back to the forefront again. They hadn't made any.
What a thing that Little Mermaid may be something that takes them down now. I'm hearing
interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah, ironic.
I mean, I always point out that Roger Rabbit was actually the moment that could have made or break the entire studio, but it was Little Mermaid that took him back to this is what we used to do kind of thing, right? Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of ironic, bro. That's interesting. And then directed towards you, Tennille says, to answer the question, when was the last time Disney made a good movie? I think it's more than 5 or 6 years, to be honest with you.
What would that be? I don't know.
So Coco is a good movie. Moana is
2017.
A good movie. Tangled is a good movie. They had some good movies, but here's the thing:
Moana was like maybe 2018, I think, but yeah, or maybe.
So a lot of those movies were coming out of the pipeline, having been started by these geniuses we're talking about who have left the company now. So
right. What'd you say?
That's
Susan?
where we're getting the Strange World and Lightyear. This just crap.
I was just saying non-Pixar movies. I mean, I know that Disney bought out Pixar, but I still kind of see them as a separate entity. When was the last time that a movie not Pixar was great for
Disney Animation Studios?
Yeah.
Let me pull up the list here and see.
Exactly. You have to pull it up and see, right?
Debatable about Encanto. It depends on if you like Frozen or not. And then, okay, so Moana is Disney Animation, not Pixar. But it depends on if you like Frozen or not. And then I would argue that Wreck-It Ralph, the original, not the sequel, was a good movie.
Was pretty good.
Yeah, I would say that was like the last, because that movie feels like a Pixar movie, even though it's not.
And then the sequel is terrible. The sequel is just
I heard it was
narratively.
Really?
Yeah, it is. It's horrible.
Terrible.
Wow. Tennille89 says, so Pro, you're saying we've been watching a slow motion car wreck and now Disney's come to the gratuitous Mortal Kombat-esque face smash part.
Finish him.
Finish him. Maybe.
Yeah, I think we're at that point where course correction has to happen. They can't keep going this way, and they can't hide it anymore.
Nope. C-Man says you all do great work. Keep it up. Speaking of terrible work, Iger's stock bump is definitely gone now. How much longer does he got until investors go after his scalp? Pro, any comments on that?
He's a transitional force anyway. He'll be out next year. That's all already pre-baked in. And what we're looking for now is to see, who's going to be the successor. There's been some absolute nonsense in the media. I know you guys can't believe that, but absolute nonsense in the media on speculations of who's going to come in and take it over. This stuff about Adam Silver, the NBA, coming in and being the CEO of Disney, that's just ludicrous pieces that are, somebody didn't have enough quota and had to write, something utterly stupid. But we'll see who's going to be the replacement. Is it somebody in Disney? Is it somebody out? Is it Dana Walden? She's probably the front runner at this point. And so, but Iger himself, just transitional.
But yeah, Lasseter's been out the door since basically 2018. So
and how long does it take to make those movies?
2-3 years at least, sometimes more.
And so
especially with him,
right,
because he likes to start over sometimes.
Yeah. And so 2022, we start getting really, really bad movies. So, I mean, it's a direct correlation. It is directly, you can see absolutely when he left and, the hard shift into crap.
Well, from what I know, Brave was one of the big turning points. But
Brave definitely wasn't a high point.
Well, I heard that the person behind that is one of the main reasons that this whole thing went down. At least that's what I've heard.
Yeah, and I think Brave went through quite a bit of reworking. Is that fair to say?
Yes, because the original creator of the idea did not agree with what Lasseter wanted to do with it.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, I think they probably should have listened, because I don't think that was one of their bigger successes. I mean, it did well, I think, but not nearly as well as some of their other films did.
It felt muddy.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, it's an interesting question, C-Man. And then we've got the 16-bit mascot who says, "Hail the Bat, Tom and guests. I noticed Midnight's Edge of the Morning is recommended sometimes on Rumble with no login. Congrats. Cheers, guys, and hail in the chat." Well, I guess we'll have to start getting that all figured out. But let's see here. Was there anything for Pro before I have to let you go? Because I know you have to leave here. I think the rest we can handle ourselves. So thank you so much, Pro. Was there anything you wanted to plug before you had to leave us?
Well, Clobby was talking about, me being the big guest, and it's like, oh, come on, seriously. So tomorrow morning, Melanie Mack will be on my channel for an interview. It's about 45 minutes long. We go through how the woke culture is really just wiping out kids and the adventures that young people could have. It's taking away even their ability to self-improve, because they're so focused on their identity and on the idea that they're already perfect just as they are. And it's cruel to them, because the people who make that stuff, the people who make these movies, they don't believe that, because they chase their potential to get to the places they are. But Melanie Mack, she's got like 300,000 subscribers. So it's just funny to me, "Oh, Bro, you're a big guest." And it's like, come on. I just talked with somebody with 3,000 subs. I'm a small fish in a big ocean right now. But I would love for people to check out the channel, sub over there if you can. And I know that Valiant Renegade just hit 19,000 subs, and I'm trying to hit the 8,000 so I could be half as good as Valiant Renegade. So hop on over there and subscribe.
And do it in a third of the time.
Yeah,
that's right. So, but
take care of
guys,
yourself.
Seriously, it's an honor. Thank you so much for having me. CC, Clob, and Script, always a pleasure. And Tom,
take care, man.
I'm happy to get to be in your presence.
Can't wait.
Great hanging with you, buddy.
Take care.
Can we get a Jennifer Lawrence pepper spray meme going, guys? Can we do that before?
Yeah, let's work on that, guys.
All right.
Pepper spray and punch to the throat, all for WDW.
Back to back, baby, back to back.
The first woman
the
pepper
movie we
sprayed.
all deserve.
The first woman pepper sprayed in a movie ever.
Probably right.
Later, all.
Take care, buddy. All right, let's get back to the super chats here. We've got Pilgrim Media says she's a salacious,
obsequious.
Thank you, Script. I knew what I was trying to say.
Meaning,
yeah,
Jennifer?
this is when we're talking about that Jennifer Lawrence movie. Yeah, and then Troy Pacelli says it's a remake of My Tutor. I vaguely remember that one. I think I have it.
I guess it is. I was thinking, the Graduate, but you're probably more along the lines. I'm kidding.
Yeah, The Graduate. I was somewhat, but no.
I'd rather not, Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah, OC Giggins says Daisy Ridley to play Catwoman. Thoughts? no thanks.
I mean, I wouldn't really personally, but you never know. I mean, she can't
no
get any
offense,
worse than some of the other ones.
She's cute and all, but
Yeah,
I don't think she's that great of an actress. I have not seen her in too much outside of Star Wars, though. So
yeah, not sure she could pull that one off, but
She's got the face for it.
yeah,
but, I mean,
not bad. I mean, yeah,
but I don't know. We were too early for casting over that.
and it's got to be to age with whoever they get for Batman too.
Yep.
Yeah, and then this just come up. You know what? Waltman says, "Oh snap! Motu R recast Tila. They did. Supergirl is now playing Tila. That's not a surprise. The surprise to me is that the dumb thing's getting a third fucking season.
Which Supergirl? Like the
the wife. I was about to say the husband to He-Man, and that might be accurate. But the wife of the voice actor who's playing He-Man is coming in as Tila.
Is that the case? Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes no. And it's no surprise because Kevin Smith really likes her as an actress and everything. So.
You're talking about the girl from the TV, Benoit or whatever. Yeah,
Benoit.
Yeah, however you say your.
However you say
Benoit.
Yeah.
The one who married a Jenner and regretted it instantly, and I'm like, really?
No, was that
coming?
Did she? Wow.
Oh yeah.
Bop Boop asks, "Do you think Michael Eisner saves Disney again?" I think he's like 90 something now, isn't he? Like,
damn close.
I was gonna say he can't be that
70s,
young.
80s. Yeah.
Let's see how old. If my computer would.
What's he got to do with anything these days?
How old is Michael Eisner? He sits back and probably just collects money. Oh, he's 81, so he's a little younger than I thought. But
okay, so he's on par with Alan Horn.
Yeah,
something could happen there.
You know, he the mistakes that he made at the end, I doubt he would be allowed back. I just
to that previous point about A and B level talent, I would be seriously concerned for Disney because that's not something you fix in a couple of years. That takes like at least a decade. And to me, from my observations about the difference between A and B level talent, the A level talent is timeless. Like you think about it happened to Disney before, right? And you get movies like The Secret of Nim, when all the A level talent went off to that secondary company and created designs that you will never forget. And then when you think about the B level talent, usually like the kids can always tell that it's trying to be cool and it doesn't hit with them, right? Like the new TMNT movie. It's trying way too hard to be cool. It's very B-level design. And if Disney's stuck with that, it's going to take them a very long time to create those timeless stories that they need.
Well, it took them roughly 20 years before.
Yeah, that's how long it takes, right?
Yeah.
So they could be in the gutter for a very long time.
I mean, there was some highlights in that 20 years, but just the same. I mean, it's still can't say that any of those were nearly the comeback that Little Mermaid was.
Right? Yeah, they'd have to strike gold, and that's not really going to happen with where they're searching, essentially.
Right. The Mecca J brought this up. I was thinking about making this a topic tonight, but I guess you decided for us. Yes, according to Deadline, Michael B. Jordan is in talks to kickstart a Creed film and TV universe at Amazon, beginning with an anime spinoff, and they're even talking about a Rocky or Creed TV show spinoff thing and something to do with his daughter. All this other crap. It's going all over the place.
Wow.
No.
This is why I didn't want people to go see this fucking movie.
That's abusing your franchise right there.
That's terrible.
It is. It's become exactly. This is exactly what Sly was fucking talking about. These fuckers are going to exploit the hell out of this thing. The hell out of it.
Good luck with that.
You can go fuck yourselves with this stuff.
That's
I'm
terrible.
sorry. I know some people liked Creed and all that stuff, and even Mecca, nothing personal if you did. I have no time of day for this new movie because of what they did to Sly. Plain and simple.
Same here.
Plain and simple. And if the creator says, I don't agree with where the story went, I mean, you got to at least acknowledge that. And I think we have enough George Lucas loyalists in the chat that can understand that.
Sure. Agreed. I'm always on the side of the creators of anything.
Oh, see, Mecca's with us. Yeah, he's like, no Sly, no tickets. So see, there you go. Yeah, I am so just so no thanks. And I've heard great things about the movie, and I'm just like, I don't care. It can be like Oscar worthy.
I hope I live long enough to see George Lucas's treatments for 7, 8, and 9. I just like to read them one day.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but
It
I
took
don't know
25 years to get the Ghostbusters ones. Who
yeah,
knows how long it's going to
Scripps
take
knows what,
to get the
yeah.
Lucasfilms.
But things leak out sometimes. Like Klobby was telling us before the show, a Scooby-Doo movie that got canceled for tax reasons at Warner Brothers has found its way online.
Scooby-Doo and Crypto 2. Go look for it. You might. It keeps popping up online, even though they keep taking it down. And I'm glad it's pissing them off that people are finding it, and let people ought to say, hey, because I thought it was fairly enjoyable. And they should not only find it, they should tell those people, hey, you know what, you dumped something that kids could have enjoyed. So, for tax reasons, yeah.
I'm not going to encourage people to find it, but if you do decide to do that, you might want to use Surfshark. Mario Trulio. Yeah, there you go. Mario Trulio says, I was in a bar the other night with a friend, both of us wearing anime shirts. A lady come up to us and asked us about anime she can watch with her children. I'm in the Midwest. That is how bad it is. Well, that or she's interested in it and she just wants to share it with her kids. That's true. But yeah, I mean, clearly things like anime and manga are on the uptick compared to our traditional entertainment, I guess you could say. That is true. Tennille says, are we sure Variety's editor isn't Baghdad Bob?
Oh, Baghdad Bob.
Oh Lord, no, he's the weatherman. All right. Speaking of the weatherman, someone who just seems to keep weathering failure after failure after failure after failure after failure after failure is J.J. Abrams. He has managed to sell his Batman Caped Crusader animated series to Amazon for 2 seasons.
Oh, man.
Oh, you're using the wrong word there. He didn't sell it. He licensed it.
Licensed it. Thank you.
Because selling it requires ownership. And guess what? Warner Brothers ain't selling anything Batman.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that, Script, because that also kind of gets me to my point I was going to get to is I'm not so sure that anybody at Warner Brothers is too happy about this. But as we were discussing before the show, Script, you can imagine that being that when this deal was initially made with JJ, HBO Max was still in the future, like you were pointing out, and some other things
hadn't officially debuted yet. DCU was their streaming service was not doing well at the time, if I recall. If the dates line up, I'm pretty sure they do. And on top of that, Warner Brothers has a history of whenever they make cartoon shows, they distribute them and license them out to other networks. Cartoon Network is one. More recently with Young Justice and Batman Brave and the Bold, if I'm not mistaken. And prior to that, it was Fox because they did do it for when they had their WB network and before it was merged into to CW. So they usually use third-party distributors for releasing their cartoon shows. So this is not.
Well, that being said, that's not out of the norm. But at the same time, JJ was also allowed to shop around a few of his other programs that he had developed. So we had kind of surmised that chances are this was probably something that was built into his contract that he was able to do this.
Oh, I would not be surprised. He's J.J. Abrams. When he got the contract, he was still considered big and popular among studios, and I would not be surprised if there's a stipulation in there saying that if Warner Brothers didn't want to distribute it within their own platforms, that he would be able to take it to other platforms for distribution to pay off the budget of what Warner Brothers spent on making this show, and then get a certain percentage of the profits split between him, Warner Brothers, and whatever the distributor is. That seems par for the course to me.
Yeah. And so in that respect, going back to what you were just saying before, that yes, in the past, Warner Brothers has had no problem doing this. This is actually the way they used to do things. Like you said, famously, the original version of this show was on the Fox network, for instance.
Yep.
That being said, this is not against the grain of what Zaslav said he's been wanting to do, but I can't imagine he's too happy about this still at the end of the day, considering JJ has been pretty much booted out the fucking door.
I mean, I think the only thing he's disappointed at is that the show is probably not a level of quality enough for him to actually draw people to HBO Max. So
exactly, I was just going to say it's not something they wanted. Obviously,
here's something funny and also tragic. They have Harley Quinn on HBO Max. It's advertised as an adult cartoon for DC characters. It's not very good, in my opinion, but it has drawn in subscribers, and they're still doing it. It's also got Kaylee Cuoco, who's still pretty hot off of her Big Bang Theory fame. So if they're seeing profit from that cartoon, that is quite disturbing. And they're still producing more episodes of it, and they haven't canceled it or anything. And with J.J. Abrams' Batman, a titular character, they're like, yeah, you can go take that somewhere else. We're fine. That's bad for the quality of the show.
I've only seen a couple minutes of that Harley Quinn show, but I'll never say a bad word about it. I'll never say a bad word about it, Clobby. You want to know why? It bought me a car.
It did.
It did.
Wow.
Well, it helped. Because of those stupid shirts they made on that fucking show. I made The Last Jedi is not canon, and the Snyderverse shirts.
Okay.
And those shirts helped me buy a car.
I got you. All I know is it's filth and doesn't belong. That's not what you should do with a character connected to Batman to make such a. I don't know. But anyway,
it does do one thing right, which is it makes
Now, to be
fun
clear,
of
it was a
Bane.
used car.
Hold on.
Sorry.
It makes fun of the Bane from The Dark Knight Returns. It mocks it incessantly.
It makes fun of everything. Yeah, I mean, making fun of things is fine. I mean, it's just that it doesn't need to be. There doesn't need to be an adult cartoon with a character like that. To be honest, especially one with Batman in it.
Yeah, it's trying to be the Venture Brothers for DC, and they don't even understand Venture Brothers to even get it right. So
yeah, I mean, I hear you.
No, and I just wanted to point out, like I said, it was a used car, not like a brand new car.
No, that's okay.
Like that.
That's fine.
No. I just want, I didn't make like $1 million off it or anything. Was my point. It was just like it did well.
That's good. Excellent.
Yeah, it did well. But yeah, this is of course the version that we had heard about before that has like Bruce Timm, I believe, involved in it. And yeah, it says right here, Tim.
I'd say Tim is probably producing though. I doubt it's going to have
and some other stuff. So I think is this the one that was supposed to be the extension of the original animated series? Correct. So. That was my initial understanding.
If it is, it's going to be unrecognizable, I expect.
Yeah, it won't be much like that. But I think that's what it was.
Actually, I don't think it is because it says it's a reimagining of the Batman.
Oh, I thought
because I still think
Tim's involved, right?
Yeah, I think that revival series is still set to be on HBO Max, isn't it?
I haven't heard any movement on that because again, there's a couple of different cartoons. I think they just released like another Batman animated movie this weekend or this week. It's muddy still over there for the animation department. I think it's going to be kind of hectic for another year and change.
Yeah. Well, they've had a lot of cutbacks in that department too, from what we've heard.
Right.
So.
Which is good because the cartoon movies they've been putting out recently have been terrible.
I mean, to me, they've been bad for about 10 years. So here you go. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've been for the last decade is not reflective of the first decade because I thought when they started out with Superman Doomsday,
good, man.
I thought Superman Doomsday was really good, and the companion documentary with it was fantastic.
That one I didn't like. They've done 2 of those, by the way, but most of them I did like. Yeah, they did some great.
I didn't hate the first one, but I don't think I've ever seen the 2-part newer one they did. Which one was better?
I didn't see
the first one was a bit better. The 2-part newer one was gratuitous, if I recall correctly.
And he was probably wearing the Screw 52 costume, so I wouldn't care or watch it anyway. But to me, after it was over after they did Flashpoint and started the Screw 52 crap. I hated Flashpoint and I hated everything after it. But before that, man, there were some really good ones, man. Justice League Doom, Justice League New Frontier.
Under the Red Hood was a solid adaptation.
Under the Red Hood was really good. All-Star Superman was great, even though they left a lot of stuff out of the comic. It was still good. They did a lot of really good. I mean, not everything was perfect, but man, so many good ones. Makes me sad.
New Frontier was just the pinnacle. Yeah,
it was beautiful. And now we'll never get any more of those. Oh, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, underrated. That was really cool.
Oh yeah, animation was weird, but the stories were good.
It was based on that McGinnis arc, but like the animation was a little bit weird on Superman versus the Elite, but I loved the story. I loved a lot of those movies.
No Ironcaster Killing Joke was ruined by them adding a bunch of shit to it. Now I'm sure fans have gone back and re-edited it down to what is just from the book, and it's probably fine. Like I'm sure if you just take what's in the book that's in the short,
that was fairly well done. Yeah,
you could probably make a decent one out of it. All the added shit excised, fine. But what it is now, no. Batman Ninja, I've never seen.
So. It's terrible, and I have Paul Shadow that can.
That's why
for me.
I thought he said it was great.
No, he said it started off good, and then it got terrible at the end, and it is awful. Oh, and even there's another Batman with their version of Shang-Chi in it. That is also terrible.
Richard Dragon.
Oh,
something like that. Yeah. And it takes place in the 70s and does a lot of the 70s style Batman stuff, but the ending is horrible because they all just go to hell voluntarily to stop something.
I heard they ruined Gotham by gaslight by changing ending and Superman Red Sun by changing the ending. What really is the really despicable was them doing the Judas contract and not basing it on the original Wolfman and Perez Titans, but basing them on this new modern horrible Screw 52 version, like wasted.
Yep.
Also Justice League Fatal 5. What a waste that was, because it was done by Bruce Timm style and it was just pointless.
Oh yeah, oh god, I remember a lot of the cast was really pushing that movie because they wanted it to be used as grounds to bring back the Justice League series.
Me too. Yeah.
And I would have preferred that as well. But when you look at the writing staff for that film, it's like I don't recall these names with the JLA cartoon series. Like you don't, they're not capturing the spirit of what this is at all. And
true, they're playing Legion villains for God's sake, and then it just didn't make any sense. It looked sort of like the cartoon, but that was about it. Man, that was a shame that show. I'm rewatching that again for like the 50th time right now, and it goes quick. Justice League Unlimited. But it's so good. It was so good, man.
It's like less than 60 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so much. It's so damn good.
Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to talk about this or not, but CC is here, and he's been quiet. So let's get into this a little bit. Since you guys have been so generous tonight, I think, and we are probably already claimed for that other trailer, we'll probably play this anyway. But there was a new Grease thing that dropped.
A Woody?
Grease. There's a new show coming on Paramount Plus called The Pink Ladies. Grease, The Rise of the Pink Ladies. Sorry, this is the official title.
It's certainly
They dropped what I guess you would call it a musical performance today. And I would love to see what the ratio is in this. I don't have the shit set up to do that. So yeah, we're not watching this whole freaking thing. It's the official music video. But it's the Frankie Valli song first. We'll skip ahead here and there to some of the credits.
Is that Frankie Jane?
The voices totally don't fit the characters.
Doesn't look quite diverse enough to me.
Girls, look.
Oh, it's very diverse.
Release all the ball lines and the silhouettes.
Man,
maybe a little bit.
Actually hasn't changed in 40 years.
Weirdo, watch where you're going.
Oh my.
Boom.
You're right.
Didn't think she'd show her face again.
Se me
Why?
olvidó que odio a esta gente. Vamos.
La pasé todo el día convenciendo a la jefa que te dejara salir. Relax, nadie se acuerda del año pasado.
You were
Ten,
saying?
cómprate unos
I got
cacahuates.
subtitles. I guess that's something.
Hey, nobody wants us to walk away. Hey, chica. Oh, where you going so fast, beautiful? Oh, sorry. Forgot I need a teaching license before you put out.
Oh my god.
This is a life evolution.
And then we got the lesbian here.
Happy Life Day is summer dipsticks.
Okay, that's enough. I can't take any part more.
Finally, Grease done right. Wow. Yeah, that's gonna go.
Is this
over
called
good.
Grease or Lube? I don't know. It's looking good.
Yeah.
Yes.
We lost a few people watching that shit.
Apologies. Oh my god.
So yeah, CC, you were pointing out how just horrible. Can you explain to us why that's so horrible? Maybe that's the best way.
I mean, if I could try and be brief, I mean, you could go on for hours about the nature of modern music, right? Like,
right.
And I think if you compare it to the original, like back in the 70s, maybe like from music standpoint, like you have an 8-track recorder, right? Mm-hmm. And that's 8 tracks. That's what you have. I wouldn't be surprised if there was 50 stems in this. It's like, and also with the choreography, I got to give it a little bit of credit because it looks like they put a lot of effort into the choreography there. I mean, it would be no small task to create that on film, but it's also incredibly busy. There's so much going on, right?
Yes.
You can make a great choreography performance with less than half of what's going on that screen. And it's the same thing with the music. I mean, I wonder how many vocal lines, like the singer is not just singing into a microphone one take. They're probably doing 10 takes of that vocal line and mixing them all together and smashing them together.
And it's performed like a stage play with stage energy. Like they're all too big for camera. Like that's another thing that threw me off is you don't do that. Like they were never like that in the original Grease. Other musicals, when you're acting for stage, it's a lot different than acting for screen. Because in acting for screen, you're acting within a box that can pick up all your subtleties. When you're on stage, you have to be big because the people in the back can't see you. So and you don't.
They're
put
misinterpreting that as just musical acting, I think, script.
But the thing is it's not. Doing. That's general across the board.
No, I know what you're saying, but I think that's what they're doing. Is they're kind of trying to
say we want you to act like it's a musical, and you're like they're in the theater watching you guys. It's like no, you don't do that.
It was like
Glee really not receptive to that.
It was like Glee threw up all over this shit. I'll be honest with you. And honestly, that was the other thing I was going to bring up is, but I wanted to get CC to explain, a little bit of the things you were saying in the chat earlier. Were just were true.
For it, man. Yeah, well, it looks like they're keeping the 70s era, but they've updated it to 2023. So it's like you've changed the original song to a 2023. You've completely replaced the genre, but it still takes place in the 70s.
Actually, Grease takes place in the 50s.
Oh, 50s. Sorry. Well, I mean, like
yes,
maybe that 70s film had a bit of a disco feel to it, right? Well, more than this, anyways. This is definitely 2023.
They did kind of with the music, maybe I guess you could say, but it still had that like 50s flair to it.
I mean, Grease is about the greasers. Those are the 50s things. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow,
moving on. Grease in the 70s, they'd be hung by the hippies.
The big difference in what I was saying in the chat, and I showed you the waveforms. If you look at the waveforms, like the musical waveforms between the original Grease and the modern Grease, is like before 2000, music was just recorded freely. A band was in the studio and they played. And then after around 2000, everything went digital, right? It went to Pro Tools. So everybody started recording their music to a metronome. And he started using auto-tune, right? So you had to be at the exact hertz level of the exact note. You couldn't be slightly off. There was no longer any mistakes. Everything has to be perfect and clean.
Unless you were Adele, because her voice keeps breaking when she sings.
Oh yeah, there's going to be exceptions to that rule, right? But like another way of looking at it is like back in the vinyl days, if music was too loud, you might break the equipment. But then once everything went digital, everything could be as loud as possible, right? So that's where you got the loudness wars, where labels decided, well, hey, if our music sounds louder than the competitors, it'll sound better and more important. And everyone tried to get louder and louder and louder. The problem is, like, drums are really, really loud, right? So if you try to bring up every other sound in the music to the level of the loudest drums, you lose that dynamic range.
Yep.
So every drum hit on the recording sounds the exact same volume instead of there being ebb and flow, instead of there being a loud smash of the drums and a quiet one. Everything's exactly the same volume.
Right.
And you
there's
get
no
that
nuance to the
right?
music either, is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the quiet parts are just as loud as the loud parts in basically what they're called brick walled compression. And there's another side effect of this. If somebody's handling the compression and they don't know what they're doing, what CC is talking about, you can actually cut off certain frequencies and lose shit in the mix, which can happen very easily if you get somebody who does not know what they're doing and what he's talking about, especially when they took some of these older albums and they brick-walled those sons of bitches. You lost a lot of nuance in some of those, and that's where some of these quote-unquote remasters from the 90s and 2000s, we kind of as music fans, like the really nerdy music fans, will generally turn our nose up at those releases because of that reason. Because that's what most of them are. It wasn't until the last 10, years or so here, CC, where they've actually gone back to the original master tapes and did it correctly and basically
To a
remixed
degree.
everything. Yeah.
I mean, it's still not great. I mean, Metallica.
No, there's still some people who have some complaints about certain things. That absolutely, especially Beatles fans. Like I think you just mentioned Metallica.
Yeah, they're pretty notorious. It's like you look at the waveform; it's just like a big brick. And it's like, oh, it's awful.
But some of those complaints on the Beatles side of things are just how it was mixed compared to the original one. It's like, look,
yeah, that too. I mean, it's really tough to it's really tough to mix because the sounds have to come out. If you can easily bury a sound by bringing one thing up even like a tenth of a decibel too high, right? And this new Grease video just screams of overproduction. It's way too just packed together.
It feels inauthentic aside from that, not just the
Yeah.
music side, but like, look, I'm all for diversity and all that kind of shit, but I'm not so sure a school like would be that diverse back in the 1950s. I could be wrong, but
Well, it depends on where.
No, you're not
exactly.
wrong.
That's another good point, Script.
Like
Yeah.
what state
Yeah,
is
yes.
this? If it's like New Mexico or Arizona, maybe.
I'm trying to remember where the original one takes place. Rydell is
I remember.
in, is it in Illinois, I think?
If it's in Illinois, I'd be really shocked about that because they
be
just
down
had
south.
two diversities there.
Yeah. Definitely not down south, I can tell you that.
Even though the whole park looks like it's somewhere off the West Coast. Like, it's a beachy like spot.
You also
Yeah.
you also get this
Yeah.
effect where it's like when people come on and they're singing on screen and it's like
In
that,
the movie, it's California.
like when that chick's riding in on the scooter and she starts singing whoever she is with the glasses and all that. It's like, wow, that if I was listening to her in real life, there's no way she would sound like that, right? Because it's
No, half
completely
these people
inauthentic.
do not sound like that at all.
Yeah. So the brain just doesn't believe it. It takes you right out of that, right?
Well, I mean, there's no room tone in any of that shot either.
Okay.
Like you don't feel like it's in the place that they're supposedly standing or singing or dancing.
Here's the answer. In the movie, it's technically California because that's pretty much where they shot it. The original play is meant to take place in Chicago or New Jersey because it's based on the individual who wrote it based it on their experience in Chicago.
Okay.
But most people associated the Greasers with New Jersey at that time period, according to this. So split it up, I guess. That's the way, because I guess that's what I was trying to remember, because they did change quite a few things from the play to the movie. And I know we did do I wasn't in it because I was against doing it, but they did Grease in high school, and I was like, yeah, I remember it being like a thing they were talking about, because I swear it was, so that's why I knew it had something to do with Illinois. But anyway, moving on. That was crap. Did you have anything more to add to that, CC, or?
No. It's basically just the literal illustration of modern music. And the fact of the matter is, it might succeed. We can trash on it here, but I mean, like pop music, like Justin Bieber got more hit singles than the Beatles because for whatever reason, modern pop music really sells. And if it taps into that high school musical formula, it might do well, despite being awful. You know, it's they're not completely off the mark. Modern pop is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets
it's got the
billions
Glee
upon
crowd, possibly. Yeah.
billions of views. Yeah.
Oh, Glee was the worst thing to happen to television.
Yes, and music.
And music.
Mr. Esquire, thank you so much for this. You have no idea because of that clip and the Mario thing. I'm sure this is going to be demonetized. He sends in $5. Thank you so much. Says, wow, someone actually wrote that.
I think ChatGPT wrote that.
Did it exist like a year or two ago when they first started making this hunk of shit?
It was in its early stages, yeah.
Maybe. I was going to say who wrote that. I think the original song, it wasn't Frankie Valli, but I think it was one of the Bee Gees, wasn't it? Barry Gibb, I think, wrote that.
Barry
Someone
Gibb.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, like the music,
the
might
song.
be,
I mean, yeah,
the
the
songs,
actual
yeah.
song.
I'm talking the movie itself, the thing around it.
No, but the Grease song, which the Grease song came along with the movie, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure if that was in the original play, because Barry Gibb wrote that song. Pretty sure it was him. Yep, Barry Gibb wrote it. D-Bud would know. See?
There you go. Absolutely.
Glee, yes, Glee and Cringe do go together very well.
I mean, it took great songs and then it basically auto-toned them and then it just said, yeah, the Jane Lynch, who's like, everybody should work hard and be rewarded for their hard work. She's the bad person in the show. Like, really?
Are you okay, Clobby? Did you just die over there? Oh, he's muted.
Sorry, I dropped something.
Oh, you're okay. As long as you're okay, man. I'm just making sure I didn't kill you with that fucking Grease thing.
No, I survived it. I'm sorry about that. I just dropped
Okay, I was like, shit, did I just give Clobby a heart attack here?
I
Like,
was
not
muted.
even meaning to? No, I thought so, but it's all right, man. As long as
thought
you're
it was
okay.
muted when I knocked something down. Sorry.
No, as long as you and your equipment are okay, that's all that matters. Or if you broke something, I hope you didn't break nothing expensive. That's the
We'll
only
get through it.
Okay. Wow.
I thought I was muted. Sorry. That knocked something over.
Then Shum has been a member for 19 months at the maximum effort puppy level. Wow. What is this monstrosity and why is it Mexican Iron Man's fault? Because he's not here right now. He'd probably say, no, don't show that crap. But he's not here. Warrior Justice says, what do you get when you mix a bungee cord and an owl? My Ash, what do you call a pirate who pees on a person? R. Kelly.
R. Kelly Love.
Kelly Love.
Love back at you.
The first one, nah, the second one got me. R. Kelly. That was one of the jokes in the Chris Rock thing. I'm like, yeah, I think you get the point of that one there, buddy.
Yeah, I saw it and it was not his best work.
No, up until the end, it was kind of meandering a bit.
His end was even like, I've heard him do better.
He has.
I've heard him do better than that, but his end was good. Like, I know exactly where he was going, but because I predicted that he would release jokes like this after a year. I was just expecting them to be way better refined than what we got. Because I remember seeing Chris Rock back in the day, and I remember on Saturday Night Live when he had some of his weekend update specials where he talked about taxes and how terrible they are, and it was so tight and concise that so many people would use that as kind of like the calling card to say, if you never heard Chris Rock, this is what you've listened to.
Right. Well, I mean, I like the idea of the whole selective outrage thing.
Oh yeah, it was good,
clever. But like I said, like the R. Kelly joke didn't really mesh with me. I'm like, well, here's the difference there, buddy. Is R. Kelly was convicted, Michael Jackson wasn't. So, like,
exactly. And then the yoga pants joke wasn't all that great.
Yeah, there's some other ones that didn't land. But no, like this was not nearly as good as like Bigger and Blacker and some of his other ones in that era. Were probably his best still. But
and he was dropping the N-bomb way more than he ever normally did in his other acts too. I noticed that.
Really?
There was somebody who brought up. Now I'm trying to remember who said it, so I could give him credit, but I can't remember. But when we were talking about it at the morning show the other day, I think it was, had brought up that he was, or maybe it was one of the Toxic Femmes, that had brought up how he was kind of trying to act too much like he had a bit of boomer dad syndrome going on. Is the best way I can put it.
Overcompensating for his age.
Yeah, overcompensating for his age, trying to act cool and all that kind of stuff. You know, kind of in that, you know, when your dad gets a fucking
midlife crisis thing.
Midlife crisis kind of thing going on. Yeah, that's kind of what it was coming off as a little bit from some people's opinion. And I could see that. I could see that in retrospect. But no, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. Ben Dowdy's been a member, though, for 2 months, actually 3 months, and that is great. So thank you for that, Ben. We appreciate that. And we're about to wrap things up here, because guess what, folks? We are getting close to the start of the biggest awards show this week. No, I'm not talking about the Oscars. I'm talking about the J-Laws. That's right. The J-Law Awards, the Jennifer Lawrence Awards, given away to the most brave, stunning, and courageous and truthing people in the world. So watch it. It's going to be bigger than the Oscars. We got guests. It's going to be amazing. We've been working hard on it. I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get out of here. Clobbering times. What have you got coming up to promote?
Oh, well, I got in about at 9 p.m. Central, an hour and a half, a little less than an hour and a half. I got Clobby's Clubhouse with Raquel and Mark. So we'll be having some fun there. We're, having a big, what we always do on Thursday nights. And then I'll hang with Nick and the gang tomorrow night, the comic shop, Friday night comic shop gang, 8:30 Central, reviewing part 2 of our review of Dave Stevens' Rocketeer comics. And then Saturday night Star Trek, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 more episodes of Deep Space Nine. And thanks for having me, buddy. And it's great hanging out with this great panel and great chat. So everyone have a fantastic night.
Glad to have you here as always, Clobby.
Thanks, buddy.
So do check out his channel, as D-Bud here has it, and it should also be in the description. CC, what do you got coming up?
Oh, the usual. Friday nights, you can always catch the late show with Mexican Iron Man that I'm usually on. And after that, karaoke on my channel.
Awesome sauce. And I see I got to add you to the thing here, actually. Good thing I looked. So yes, CC Karaoke, check out the channel, and we will be live Friday night singing karaoke's.
Yep.
I'd like to do that. Script Doctor, what have you got coming up?
I'm going to be reviewing the next entry of my series on the Marx Brothers, which is Animal Crackers.
Oh, cool.
In your
soup? Love that movie.
And then, Duck Soup will be later. But
Love
yeah,
that one your duck soup, Animal Crackers in your duck soup is good.
Yes. Oh my God, it's magnifique.
One of the greats.
Yeah. And so after that one, I've also dropped the Picard episode 4 review on my Patreon. So if you are so inclined, go check that out. And I'm currently working on some interesting character essays and archetypes that are also going to be on my Patreon. Some of them are going to be pretty interesting. Clobby, you'll definitely like them. They'll be on some superheroes and stuff and things of that nature.
Nice. Looking forward to your Marx Brothers ones too. I love the Marx Brothers.
Oh yeah, like I just did the Coconuts earlier this week, and
nice, excellent.
It's a really simple plot, orbiting around the Groucho Marx, who actually steals the show because nobody likes Chico.
It's their first film, so they were it was clunky. Nobody likes Seppo either.
And I don't blame them for wanting to buy all the negatives and burn it. But
they call it stagey. It's very stagey.
Yes. Yeah, because it's a direct adaptation of a stage play written for them after their successful vaudeville show. So,
it's got some good bits in it, though, but Animal Crackers just gets great.
Yes.
About 4 movies straight. Some of the greatest movies ever made.
Oh, no. Like, the Coconuts is really just Groucho Marx showing off in front of everybody because he steals every single show. And nobody cares about the marriage plot or the theft of the necklace or anything of that nature. But it has some of the best
pure Groucho
walking and stage work going between 2 hotel rooms and a shared door that you would ever see at that time. It's absolutely brilliant. Like you don't get that level of effort these days because they always do quick cuts away. So you don't have to try and actually give you a wide shot of people going in and out of doors, missing each other by mere like half of a millisecond.
Yes. I do love the shirt song though.
Oh yeah, my shirt. I want
my shirt.
Yeah. Even though he's one of the worst actors in that movie, he does have a good song.
Yeah, so it's a clunky but good beginning, and then Animal Crackers is just extraordinary, and you have Monkey Business, Horse Feathers, Duck Soup, and Night at the Opera. After that, you can't get any better.
Yep, and then I've also got A Night in Casablanca, A Day at the Races, and Love Happy are also part of the list. So I'm going to try and get through as much of them as I can this month. If I don't, I will then be continuing it for next March because it's the Marx Brothers March on my Patreon.
Nice.
In addition to the normal stuff I do. Yeah.
All right. And with that, hopefully I see you guys over at the J-Law Awards. We're going to leave on the ad for that. Take care of yourselves and each other. See you next time. Tonight, after Midnight's Edge After Dark, tune in to Comics Division for the first annual J-Law Awards. Celebrities, music, explosions, and more. Tune in.